now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now!
Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now!
Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! Free Hoshino now! The reason we're having this rally here and we're going to be presenting a petition to the Consul General is for the freedom of Fumiaki Hoshino, who's been in jail over 37 years in Japan. I tried to visit him in the prison, Tokushima, and I was prevented from visiting him by the prison superintendent. The prison superintendent said that I had no reason to see him and I wasn't a relative. And that was his justification for preventing me from seeing him.
Wow.
So I think the treatment he is under at the prison in Tokushima is outrageous. He should have the right to visit people, and I think that the prison system in Japan is retaliating against him for his political views, which are against militarization and against the attack on the Okinawan people, against the U.S. military treaty with Japan, and against the repression. And he's not the only one. There are other people in Japan that face repression on a daily basis for their political activity. We are also going to be getting resolutions from unions and other organizations, community organizations, to call for the freedom of Hoshino and to organize, to educate the public here about his rights and the rights of all labor and political prisoners, not only in Japan but around the world.
40 years ago this month, the entire world was marching against the war in Vietnam. No place was more important to that effort than the island of Okinawa. It was at Okinawa where the massive Kadena Air Base was the launching pad for the napalm bombing in Vietnam. And the demonstrations in Okinawa were an inspiration to people all across the planet. Those demonstrations consisted and are relevant today because we have the Occupy movement going on now all over the world. In Okinawa, the people from their island came to occupy the bases and stop the militarization of their homeland. In Tokyo, 40 years ago this month, in the Shibuya district in Tokyo, a huge demonstration occurred against the reversion of Okinawa to the control of and make permanent the U.S. military bases there. Those demonstrations were led by Fumiaki Hoshino. In those demonstrations, a teacher named Norita Nagata lost her life. And when the story came back to Europe and to this country, Noriko was a big symbol to us of resistance. And the anti-war movement was greatly inspired by the efforts of Noriko Nagata and, of course, everyone involved. And it took us a long time to learn the story about Fumiaki Hoshino. We still know very little about it, and our efforts today are to try to connect to the Occupy movement and to the massive anti-war movement that occurred during those years. The story of these people, and we need to get support for Hoshino. The best way we can do that is to tell people about the napalm bombing and what it meant. It was extremely important to people in Okinawa because it was from Okinawa that the firebombing of Tokyo and Kobe against civilian population in 1945 occurred, killing almost 200,000 people, burned alive. That formed the template for the firebombing of Vietnam by Dow Chemical produced bombs created at Harvard University. So this story is relevant to us in many, many ways, and at the center of the story is Akiko Hoshino and Fumiaki Hoshino. who are our sister and brother, and they deserve the same amount of freedom that we all have. And when you go to sleep tonight, I want you to be able to say to yourself that you did something to liberate these two people. Thank you.
Konnichiwa, Hoshino-san. Konnichiwa, Kiko-san. Watashi no name wa Mike desu.
Criminal justice systems under capitalism are corrupt, racist, and dedicated to the defense of a reactionary ruling class. They are the first line of defense of this class against working people of the world. No political prisoner demonstrates this more than Fumiaki Hoshino of Japan, one of the longest incarcerated political prisoners in the world. Hoshino was framed for a crime he didn't commit because he was an activist working against the U.S. nuclear weapons base in Okinawa. He has been incarcerated for 37 years. But he is innocent. There is no physical evidence whatsoever, and supposed eyewitnesses have recanted, claiming police coercion. Hoshino's case is similar to that of Mumia Abu-Jamal, a former member of the Black Panther Party who was framed for a crime he didn't commit in 1982. Like Hoshino, Jamal was targeted for his political beliefs and activism. The Labor Action Committee to free Mumia Abu-Jamal believes that cases such as those of Fumiaki Hoshino, Native American activist Leonard Peltier, and Mumia Abu-Jamal and others can only be resolved for working through working class action. For labor action to free Fumiaki Hoshino. Free Fumiaki Hoshino!
Yes.
Hoshino has been in prison for 37 years and denied rights to visit. Akiko, his wife, and he cannot touch each other. They don't have contact visits, and people who have tried to visit him have been denied, as Steve just explained. I just want to read something that he says now. Workers who produce everything and run the society have the power to smash enemy attacks, transform workplaces and the whole society, get back all the properties from capitalists and emancipate all human beings, get back the power of the labor movement, free the anger of all the workers and people, build unity of all workers and people across the borders. And that's really what, imagine after 37 years to keep those profound, liberating ideas intact and be able to express them today. So much so that his defense committee in Japan actively supports Mumia Abu-Jamal, actively supports other U.S. political prisoners, and sees the struggle against having political prisoners as an international struggle. The Hoshino's Defense Committee is playing a leadership role in international solidarity and international links of the workers' movements and movements against political prisoners around the world. And we must do everything we can to link with them and to free Fumiaki Hoshino.
My name is Mark Norton. I worked since 1998 at Hotel Frank, which is a small hotel in downtown San Francisco. Wells Fargo Bank took over our hotel in a foreclosure sale last year with all sorts of predictably terrible results. We have a boycott there that's sponsored by our union and by the workers in the hotel, Unite Here Local 2 workers. As Steve said, Hoshino's wife showed up on our picket line not too long ago with a group of supporters. We were very appreciative of that. Somebody whose husband has been in jail for 37 years, who has the time to come out to a picket line, is demonstrating the basic essence of political solidarity, which is we all have to stand together, and solidarity is the key to victory.
We need to put pressure on these politicians to release these political prisoners. And I believe that these political prisoners had knowledge to overturn the capitalist system that's in place, and they tried to restrain these prisoners from into the reality of what's going on and getting to the people and organizing the people. They're not really political prisoners to me. They're more like leaders, and they had the knowledge and the ability to go out and organize and get people to support their cause, and the system didn't like it. So we have to all realize that these people became political prisoners for a reason.
I'm Joe Bertansky. I was the founder of the Free Speech Platform at San Francisco State College back in '63 and ran it for a couple of years, so I'm aware of the issues regarding free speech, both with the FSM as well as currently. Hoshino is somebody who is a political prisoner who tried to raise the voice of the concerns of the Okinawan, both from the standpoint and the Japanese regarding the nuclearization of the country through the U.S. occupation of Okinawa. 70% of all the U.S. military bases in Japan are located in Okinawa, which has, and they've occupied 20% of the whole area of Okinawa. We need to have our troops out of there, as well as the nuclear activity, which Hoshino was against nuclearization. This is a situation whereby the similarities between the California prisoners who are involved with maximum security, Hoshino apparently is under similar conditions for all these 37 years. It is a crime against humanity to have the types of incarceration that Hoshino has been subject to, particularly from the standpoint of understand that the country has a national law that allows conjugal visits, and he has been denied these all the time that he's been married to his wife.
This very day and around the United States and around the world is the occupation movement. And what has happened, one of the demands of the occupation movement is in fact the end of U.S. military bases around the world. Why is it in San Francisco people are dying because they can't get health care? Why is it in San Francisco that people can't get housing in this country, and millions of people have been dispossessed from their homes? This system, this capitalist system, prevents people from having housing and health care, from jobs, at the same time that we're spending billions, trillions of dollars on wars in Afghanistan, wars all around the world. So this issue of the occupation movement is very much connected to what's going on, and the case of Hoshino. Fumiaki Hoshino, who was opposing militarization, who was opposing the Vietnam War, who was opposing the U.S. military bases in Okinawa and in Japan. We have to get those military bases out of Japan. We have to remove the 800 military bases all around the world. This is what we're talking about. Why do we have 800 military bases around the world when people in this country are starving? People in this country, there was a program on CBS 60 Minutes last night of children who have no homes, who have to live in trailers, who have to live in vans because they don't have housing. Yet there's money for war. And the Japanese government, along with the U.S. government, are spending more money, trillions of dollars, for more war, for encircling China, for more military bases, and we say that we're against that.
We're having this action today to raise the issue of Fumiaki Hoshino. And he's been in jail for over 37 years in Japan. And we feel that he was jailed unjustly, that the trial was not a proper trial because there was evidence that was introduced that was not allowed. And there's been evidence, a video and other material from what happened in 1971 that hasn't been allowed. So we're asking that that this evidence be allowed and that there be a re-examination, that he be released. I also personally tried to visit him in the prison, Tokushima prison, and I was prevented from visiting him. The warden said that I was not a member of the family and I had no business with him. So we feel that he should be able to have visitors in the prison, and that people should be allowed to see him outside his family or that limited list. So we feel that the issue of democratic rights of prisoners in Japan and the prison system is important. After 37 years in jail, he's an artist, he can make a contribution to society, and he should be free, in our view. So we wanted to relay that to the Japanese government and to call for his release, and also to call for him being able to have visitors at the prison in Tokushima. You know, that's basically why we're here. So we have some petitions that we have, and we hope that he's able to get them. or the government is able to circulate them, to be aware of what's going on. Because what we feel is that more people should be educated about this case, and that Steve's also, I'll sign this as well, and present this to you, and thanks for coming out, and we hope the government acts and considers releasing Hoshino from prison.
So I understand, but maybe I'm not the right person to comment these matters. And exactly, I shall transfer this message from here to you.
That's basically what we wanted to do, to let people know, and we support the Japanese people. We understand the suffering of the Japanese people, particularly with Fukushima and the tsunami. They're under a lot of suffering, and we understand that, and we respect that. This is not a protest against the Japanese people. We support the Japanese people.
Thank you very much for supporting for us.
Okay.
Yes, and so about your talking points, and yes, I understand. But sorry, and I should repeat again. I'm not the right person to comment it, and exactly I shall transfer this message from here to Home Ministry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we appreciate you coming out here and talking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's cold, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not as cold as Japan.